What if Deadpool's entire future in the Avengers just changed overnight? Because Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. could be setting up a Marvel clash that nobody saw coming. One represents the legendary era that built the MCU, while the other is stepping into one of the most dangerous roles Marvel has ever introduced. And standing between them is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool, a character who has spent years breaking every rule, mocking every hero, and turning the MCU into his personal playground. But this time, Deadpool may have finally met someone who doesn't care about his jokes, someone who doesn't play by Deadpool's rules: Dr. Doom. And if Marvel gets this dynamic right, Deadpool's role in the Avengers could be completely transformed. Hey everyone! Welcome back to Amelia Brown. Today we're diving into one of the biggest questions surrounding Deadpool's future in the MCU. Because the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom changes the entire power structure of the Avengers. Add Chris Hemsworth's Thor into that equation, and suddenly Deadpool isn't just walking into another superhero team-up. He's walking into a battlefield filled with characters who carry decades of history. There's something especially fascinating about putting these three characters together. Thor represents the original Avengers, RDJ represents the face of the MCU's beginning, and Deadpool represents the chaotic new generation that refuses to follow the old rules. So what happens when these three collide? That's where things get really interesting.
Doom's got the exact opposite, to where it takes all of these folks to go up against him.
When they came in and Ryan had a vision for the story.
His opinion, not cinema, I gotta take a look at that.
That was not kind.
For years, Deadpool has survived because nobody could really control him. He talks directly to the audience, makes jokes during fights, insults superheroes, mocks Marvel itself, and somehow that chaos became his greatest strength. But Avengers: Doomsday could introduce a completely different environment. Dr. Doom isn't a villain who needs to scream to prove he's powerful. He doesn't need to joke, he doesn't need approval, and he doesn't need anyone to underestimate him. Doom's entire identity is built around control, and that's exactly what makes him the perfect opposite to Deadpool. Deadpool is chaos, Doom is order. Deadpool improvises, Doom calculates. Deadpool talks, Doom can simply stare. And suddenly the funniest character in the room might not be the most powerful personality anymore. Now at Thor. Chris Hemsworth's character has already experienced almost every emotional extreme the MCU can throw at a hero. He's been arrogant, broken, a king, a warrior, and he's lost people he loved while watching the Avengers change completely. That makes Thor one of the few characters who can understand the seriousness of what Doom represents. Deadpool might walk into the room laughing. Thor might immediately realize something is wrong, and Doom might already know exactly how the entire conversation is going to end. That's the kind of dynamic that could make the next Avengers story incredibly unpredictable. But there's another layer. Robert Downey Jr. isn't just another actor playing another Marvel villain. He's one of the biggest faces in MCU history. For years, audiences associated him with Tony Stark. Iron Man was there when this entire universe began. So when audiences see RDJ standing opposite Thor, there is automatically going to be emotional weight. Thor knew Tony. They fought together, they lost together, and they saved the world together. Now Thor could potentially be standing opposite someone who looks exactly like the man he once called an ally. That's powerful. But who would be the first character to make the situation awkward? You already know Deadpool. That's where Ryan Reynolds' character becomes extremely useful. He can say the thing everyone in the theater is thinking. He can acknowledge how strange it is, make the Tony Stark joke, and break the fourth wall. But then Doom could respond in a way that instantly changes the mood. And that would tell the audience something important. This isn't Tony Stark. This is Doom. And Deadpool might be forced to learn that distinction the hard way.
Worst actor, your least favorite Canadian in the whole world. Aviation gin, because it's disgusting. That's my favorite drink.
But here's where Marvel could really surprise everyone. Deadpool doesn't necessarily need to become more serious. Instead, Marvel could make him more dangerous. Think about it. Thor is predictable in the best possible way. He fights, he protects people, and he uses his power. The Avengers have plans. Doom makes plans. But Deadpool? Deadpool destroys plans. And that's exactly why Doom might eventually become interested in him. Imagine a villain capable of predicting almost every move his enemies can make. Then there's one person he can't calculate: Deadpool. Not because Deadpool is smarter than Doom, but because Deadpool is completely unpredictable. He could do something ridiculous at exactly the moment when everyone expects him to behave rationally, and that could actually become a weapon. For the first time, Deadpool's stupidity might be strategically useful. That's a fascinating evolution for the character. Instead of simply being comic relief, Deadpool could become the wild card of the Avengers, the character nobody can control, nobody can predict, and the character who can walk into the middle of the biggest battle in the MCU and completely change the outcome. And that's where Chris Hemsworth becomes important again. Thor could provide the balance. Deadpool brings chaos. Thor brings experience. Doom brings strategy. Three completely different forces, and if Marvel puts them together properly, the audience could get something we haven't really seen before. But there's an even bigger possibility. What if Deadpool's future isn't about becoming one of the Avengers? What if his future is about becoming the one character who exists outside their rules? That's actually more interesting. Because Deadpool doesn't need to become another Captain America. He doesn't need to replace Iron Man. He doesn't need to become the new Thor. He just needs to remain Deadpool. But now, instead of being surrounded by characters he can easily make fun of, he's surrounded by people who can challenge him. And that creates opportunities for actual character growth. Imagine Deadpool making jokes during a massive battle, and then suddenly someone gets hurt. The joke stops. For just a second, Deadpool realizes the stakes are real. That's when the audience sees something underneath the comedy. The character actually cares. He just hides it behind humor. And Dr. Doom could be the perfect villain to bring that side of Deadpool out. Because Doom isn't just another opponent. He's the kind of threat that could force every hero to confront what they actually stand for. Thor has to decide what kind of leader he wants to be, the Avengers have to decide what they're willing to sacrifice, and Deadpool may have to decide whether being unpredictable is enough. That could be the beginning of a completely new chapter for him. But here's the part that could really change everything. What if Marvel doesn't use Deadpool as the character who constantly interrupts the story? What if they use him as the character who saves the story when everything goes wrong? Imagine Doom has calculated every possible move. The Avengers are losing. Thor is overwhelmed. The entire plan has collapsed. Everyone believes the battle is finished. Then Deadpool does something absolutely insane. Something nobody expected. Something that even Doom didn't calculate. Suddenly, the entire battle changes. That's the moment Deadpool becomes more than comic relief. He becomes the ultimate wild card. And if Marvel builds towards something like that, fans could look back and realize that Deadpool was never the problem. He was the solution. Because when everyone else follows the rules, Deadpool is the one person willing to break them. So, did Chris Hemsworth and Robert Downey Jr. really change Deadpool's future? Maybe the bigger question is what Marvel plans to do with the collision between these three characters. Thor represents the past. Doom represents the new threat. And Deadpool represents complete chaos. If those three forces collide, the next Avengers chapter could become one of the most unpredictable stories Marvel has ever attempted. Because Doom wants control. Thor wants to protect his people. And Deadpool? Deadpool just wants to see what happens when he pushes the wrong button. And that might be exactly what the Avengers need. So what do you think? Should Deadpool have a major role in Avengers? Doomsday? Or should Marvel keep him on the sidelines and let Dr. Doom remain the center of the story? Let me know your theory in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more Marvel updates, rumors, and theories right here on Amelia Brown. Because if Doom and Deadpool really end up on opposite sides, the MCU may never be the same again.